boom one, and the way he's kicked, you think it's got to go at least to the 20 or maybe inside the 20. Denver has no timeouts left. I'm pretty conservative when it comes to situations like this, but that's what I would do.
You sound like you would. You'd run it, go ahead and use the 40 seconds or so. Third down, 3rd and 7. They come after Breeze, and the ball is loose. The ball is loose. Wild scramble for it. John Lynch on the blitz, and the recovery by the Chargers.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
We talked about it earlier. They have been doing this all day from this side, and the Chargers have not seen it or reacted well to it. Drew Brees should have seen him sneaking up there, but they're fortunate. The pass is not incomplete. They recovered, so the clock keeps moving.
Boy, I tell you, Reggie Hayward had a chance. I mean, it happens all so fast, but he could have caught that almost in full stride. So back comes Cyphers on the field, but all the way back at the 23. Clock running with 1:10. Big pressure. End over end kick. They're going to have roughing the punter. That will close out the game. They got to Cyphers. Sam Brandon ran into him.
Well, I tell you what, that is going to be really close. It could be, well, that's going to be roughing probably. Could be running into, but when you're in the act of putting the football, foot still in the air, that is roughing.
It's only 5 yards.
I'm not sure he hit him, Jim. From my angle, which is far away, it looked like there was no contact.
Running into the kicker. It's a 5-yard penalty.
Oh.
5 yards only from the previous spot.
It's not the big one. Remember,
First down.
it was 4th and 18, and let's talk about acting performances.
How about that?
No wonder Brandon was making his case.
Now, I thought when the punter's leg was in the air and you hit him, that would be roughing because he cannot protect himself at all. But I did have a pretty good angle. I did not think there was contact.
Okay.
Cyphers did have to draw his legs in, though, to keep from being hit.
So Smith back, and the Broncos' hopes stay alive. Little pressure this time, and a big boot again.
Wow, what a punt.
Driving Smith all the way back to the 20. Shakes past the first tackler, and a second. He's at the 30, and it's the punter, Cyphers, who makes the tackle at the 42-yard line. 52-yard punt, 21-yard return, and Plummer and company come out trying to get in Elam range.
The punt is so good, it gives Rod Smith some space, but look how tough. Stiff arm, right to the chest, gets him free for that extra 20 yards down the field.
Stiff arm, Matt Wilhelm.
Matt Wilhelm, yeah, linebacker. Rod Smith is he has come up big for the Denver Broncos today, which he's done so many times in the past.
Jason Elam, of course, had that try last week in the foul weather. It was a high snap, and 43-yarder was blocked, but he has made 5 kicks in his career here from over 50 yards. Ball knocked loose, incomplete. Intended for Putzier. Johnny Edwards helped knock it loose with 45 seconds remaining.
Well, if there is a good direction to go, there's not much wind on the field, but what wind there is behind the Denver Broncos.
Triandus Luke is in, number 10 for the Broncos, as a 5th receiver. On 2nd down, Plummer goes for the big ball, looking up for Lee, and it's knocked down, incomplete. Quentin Jammer was defending. Well, that's one of those passes where, as Coach Shanahan told us, that ball goes up, and usually he's coming down with it.
Well, I tell you what, it's good reaction by Quentin Jammer. He actually pulls the helmet of Lee off and goes on and pulls it off. That would make you nervous.
3rd down. 3rd down for Denver. Pressure. Plummer, incomplete. incomplete. Sean Phillips with the pressure. 32 seconds and 4th down on the way.
What a day for Sean Phillips. He has done a little bit of everything, but they need pressure on Jake Plummer, so he doesn't have the extra time, makes him throw the football away.
What a moment this is. I'll tell you, I've always loved AFC West football. All these teams and the excitement they bring, and there's no bigger play in the division up to this point this year than this one right now. On 4th down, Plummer throws, snagged out of the air for a 1st down. That's Darius Watts.
What a catch. The ball got away from Jake Plummer, but Darius Watts still went up and got it.
Not an easy catch. Clock running. Spike play with 18 seconds. What a catch by Watts.
This ball completely came, or the ball came completely out of Jake Plummer's hands. Probably a little wet. Like you said, what a catch.
Again, Jason Elam at this stadium, 5 of 6 from 50 and beyond, including one time a 55-yarder here at Qualcomm Stadium. This point right here would be 64 yards. They need to get it obviously much closer as Plummer throws too high. That was for Lely, and that's one of those dangerous passes that would have, had it been caught, would have been brought down in play and would have been able to get back to the line in time.
Yeah, that's all they were trying to do. Now, if you throw it inside and you get tackled, I don't know if you can kill the clock. But that last play, Jim, that was the right thing to do. Go inside. If he caught it, you still had time to spike the football and try about a 55-yard field goal.
3rd and 10 from the 14. Plummer pump fakes, goes down the middle, and again, it's incomplete. Oh, that time Watts looked like he had it for a moment.
Well, it's a good thing he didn't catch it.
Clock would have run out.
The game would have been over. Down the middle of the field.
Why go down the middle of the field at this time?
Well, it's just not a good decision.
You know, they're going to go for it here. You know, let's remember, Elam, one time in his career, kicked a 63-yarder at home, tying the Dempsey all-time mark.
You've got to throw it outside. You can go left. The quarterback can throw it left and long.
And they stopped the play. Timeout called by the Chargers. And from here would have been 64. Not even a consideration in these conditions. Not the rarefied air that they have back home. And 8 seconds to go and 4th down. And again tonight on CBS, it's 60 Minutes. It's Bob Dylan with his first television interview in almost 20 years. Cold case and a very Merry Christmas.
Well, let me just say this. Whatever the Broncos design and do, the football must go towards the sideline. So do you have an inside receiver go up the field and break out? Or do you have one of the outside receivers just run down the field and break out to the sideline, catch it, and go out of bounds?
Plus, you got to get the 10 yards.
Well, that's right. You got to get. Now, they did. San Diego was playing a defense before the timeout was called that would have allowed a throw to be thrown to their left side. They could pick up the 1st down and still have a second or 2 left.
McCardell urging on the defense.
You know what? It looks like it's there, down at the bottom.
Everyone on their feet. As Plummer throws short, Watts has to make a play. He stays in bounds, and that will do it.
Wrong side.
The San Diego Chargers have won it 20-17. Chargers take a 2-game lead in the AFC West. Watts made the catch, had the yardage for the 1st down, but he cut back inside, and the clock expired.
He had to cut back inside because he had to pick up the 1st down, Jim. If he goes out of bounds too quick, the game would have been over, but there was a chance to go to the other side. There were not 2 defenders to Jake Plummer's left, and Mike Shanahan wants to know what a mistake we just made. Here it comes, 8 seconds to go. Looks like he definitely has to go back inside to pick up a first down. No opportunity to get out of bounds.
The San Diego Chargers have won 6 straight games to take a 2-game lead in the AFC West. What a game. Comes down to the final play as they celebrate in San Diego. For Phil Simms and Scott Kaplan, Lance Barrow, Mike Arnold, and the crew down in the truck. Jim Nance saying so long you've watched the NFL.
Primetime lucky week 13. Chris Berman with Tom Jackson. And you know what? Some games real low scoring at half. Some games off the abacus at the half. We had an interesting day today.
Yeah, but a great week. A lot of divisional games this week. So we're going to get some things decided, at least start to.
And some upsets possibly with 10 divisional games. One of them being the Bengals at the Ravens. So here we go. The Bengals, of course, at 58 points last week. But could Carson Palmer continue it in Baltimore against that rock-solid Baltimore defense? Early on, no. It was 13-3 Baltimore. And here we go again with Ed Reed. He does it every game. And then he switches hands and he said, what? But Chris McAllister jumps off the Tallahatchie Bridge. That crest is too big in the middle of that field. The Billick crest, too big. But anyway, look at McAllister winding, bobbing, weaving. 20-3 Ravens, and that's it with them. Right there at home, it's 20-3. That's it. Maybe it's not it. It's now 20-10. No. Palmer to Chad Johnson. It's 20-17. Now, 23-17, Carson Palmer to TJ. You say Houshmandzadeh, I say Houshmandzadeh. Now, what happens is they call them for a flag for celebrating, and so it's assessed on the kickoff.
You know, I'm not big on celebrations, you know that, but what a touchy call. What a touchy call.
So Baltimore gets much better field position with the assessed on the kickoff, but then Brian Simmons comes up with the ball after Chester Taylor fumbles, and that could do it until no. Ravens down 24-23 here. Get a break with illegal contact called to the Bengals, Torrey James. So Baltimore keeps it. Jamel White down the sideline for a big game. Matt Stover, he's automatic. 26-24, Baltimore. Now, just over a minute to play. 2nd and 19. There's Houshmandzadeh. A big gain inside the Ravens 45 with 35 seconds to go. Tick, 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 tick. Wow, it's Chad Johnson over the shoulder inside the 10. Shane Graham, crackers for everybody. Good. What a stunning loss for the Ravens and a huge win for Cincinnati. 27-26 after being down 17th in the fourth quarter. Both of their receivers had 10 catches for 161 and 171. The first Bengal win on the road against a winning team in 42 tries dating back to Sam Weiss 1990.
1990, and a credit to the coach of this football team, Marvin Lewis. And look at the growth, because this is the thing I've enjoyed now as we get to the end of the season and toward the end of the season. Carson Palmer, just look at the numbers. Look at what he was able to do in a comeback effort for the Bengals.
Now, speaking of another team coming back, the Buffalo Bills after an 0-4 start. If they can win at Miami for rookie coach Mike Mularkey, they'd be 6-6. Bills special team. Opening kickoff. 4 yards deep is Terrence McGee. And look at this. Makes the cut. And he could go all the way for the Bills' 5th team record, 5th kick and punt return touchdown this season.
Bills special teams.
Yeah, the Bills special teams. This game turned out to be a wild game, though. Early on, A.J. Feely looked like this. Donald Lee, touchdown. 3 touchdowns, Feely, in the first 12.5 minutes. 21-14 Miami, game on. Now, with just seconds left in the third quarter, 24-21 Dolphins, Drew Bledsoe to Lee Evans. Remember these 68 Olympics? Tommy Smith, Lee Evans, fist in the air, touchdown. Bledsoe threw 4 on this day, 28-24. Just before the 2-minute warning, you said it.
I said Feely could rush up and throw an interception for a touchdown before the 2-minute warning.
And he did, the big fella, Pat Williams, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling. Nobody wants to get in his way. A.J. Feely, remember those 3 early touchdown passes? He threw 5 interceptions, 7 Miami turnovers, and the Buffalo Bills have gone into Miami and won 42-32. Bledsoe, we told you about the 4 touchdown passes. By the way, the kickoff return by McGee, the longest in Buffalo Bills team history. Here's a team clearly in 10 on finishing big time, Tom.
Yeah, and I think you watch the Buffalo Bills, Drew Bledsoe obviously now feeling the strength of the Willis McGahee running game, starting to find out what his receivers can do for him, offensive line feeling good. You have said it, this team will finish strong.
And Mike Mularkey fed him pregame cheeseburgers the night before. Why not in Florida? Cheeseburger in paradise. That's where Jimmy Buffett is. At any rate, Mike Vick, could the Falcons bottle up their division over Tampa? Have other ideas? Peyton Manning zeroing in on Dan Marino's record. How many points would the Colts ring up against Tennessee? That game was wild for a while.
NFL Primetime. Presented by Miller Lite. Grab yourself a great-tasting low-carb Miller Lite. And in part by Visa, proud sponsor of the NFL. Get ready for the game. Welcome back to NFL Primetime, presented by Miller Lite.
Another one of those from way off the pace NFC teams, the Carolina Panthers in New Orleans against Deuce McAllister and the Saints, and it's a fumble. McAllister fumbles. Kendall Morehead falls on it. Tom, just a quick hit right after the handoff.
Yeah, we got Brandon Short highlighted right there. You come clean, you come untouched, you put your helmet right on the football. Deuce McAllister had very little chance to hold on to that one. Alert recovery by the Carolina Panthers.
And last minute of the first quarter, Jake Daylight coming. You got it, Delhomme. Back at his native Louisiana to Moose and Muhammad. How about those moves? 13-0 Panthers. What a surprise. Saints scoreless in the first quarter. Their last points in the first quarter, Tom, September 19th. Tricky Panthers. Delhomme Muhammad, 51 yards, sets up a touchdown run by Nick Goings and Goings and Goings. 20-0 Panthers. Julius Peppers. He did everything last week except play wide receiver.
Yeah, and he probably could have caught this, but you got to throw it in bounds.
So it forced him to settle for a field goal. And did I say something about field goal? John Casey at the foot. 6 for 6. And Carolina, who was once what? 1-7, now 4-7. They're in the hunt. Hey, look, here's the big picture. You gotta like the way they play for John Fox and with Delhomme, with all their injuries, the way that they still care, and it might pay off for them.
Yeah, a team that's now 5-7, and they find themselves in the thick of some sort of a race for this last place in the playoffs, depending on what happens.
And the Tampa Bay Bucks were thinking the same thing. They're 4-7. Meanwhile, look, Atlanta's got a 5-game lead with 5 to go, and here comes 9-2 Atlanta, team with the second-best record of the NFC, into the new sombrero. Michael Vick, though, has always had trouble with Tampa Bay. You know why? Number 55, Derek Brooks. He's there to tip the ball in the hands of Dwight Smith instead of the Falcons tying it. Bucks ball. Then Vick slides, and who's involved again? Brooks flushing him out on the play. They're right there. He's hurt on the play. Vick sits out of play, comes back. Now 3rd and 8. Did we say Derek Brooks?
Derek Brooks.
Tom.
DB.
His quickness, look at him strip picking the ball. He in trouble with the ball all day.
Well, it's his quickness. It's their ability to track Mike Vick when he gets ready to leave the pocket. And Mike Vick has to be more protective and secure the football with both hands once he starts moving in the pocket.
And you saw Simeon Rice get involved. He had 2 sacks, over 100 for his career. Brian Greasy to Joey Galloway. And the Bucks went on to humble the Falcons 27-0. And you own the team. You can do this. The owner, Arthur Blank, with the quarterback, Mike Vick.
It's just odd. It's just odd.
Can we wait till after the game, please?
We're trying to win a football game.
Yeah, can we wait? Well, Buccaneers 27. The Falcons, nothing. So no division title yet, although it is a formality. And Derek Brooks, 11 tackles, the 2 sacks, the tip, the forced fumble once again. Vic 2-3 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, sacked 14 times in those 5 games. And look, they're 9-3, so they don't really have to apologize too much, Atlanta. But boy, when they don't look right, they look really
awfully wrong. Yes,
that's
right. And I think the good news, if you're the coach of the football team, is you almost take those losses and you just throw them out. We're not even going to watch that film. We're going to get prepared for the next week. We're going to look at this as an aberration. But I think that what's really discouraging is that when we look at this conference, we have this great football team. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are a great football team. And then there is a huge drop-off to whatever is next. And I don't know what we're going to do as we start getting to playoffs. We're going to play the playoffs. I just can't imagine what they're going to look like except for those games that Philly are in.
We're going to show this later. 5-7 is alive, and maybe not well, but certainly very, very much alive. So Atlanta doesn't quite clinch things yet. When we return, plenty of more divisional action, and Andy and T.O. talking about tights. Donovan McNabb trying to put the Green Bay Packers in a tight spot. And Peyton Manning with a bunch more tight spirals today for Indianapolis at home against their one-time nemesis, Tennessee.
Chevrolet Fantasy Ticker is brought to you by the new Chevrolets. 10 new cars and trucks in 20 months. An American Revolution.
Down to St. Louis for the Rams against the same old 49ers. Mark Bulger. Off of Monday night, more turnovers. Oh, look at Bryant Young, who remembers the glory days of this franchise. Sack. Bulger leaves, holding his right arm. If I only had a replacement who could go in the game. And that would be Chris Chandler. Remember him? A year ago, he last threw a touchdown pass. Here's another one. Torrey Holt, 10-3 Rams. Niners played pretty well on D. Their offense anemic. Kevin Barlow nailed by Robert Thomas. Tommy, you might do this tomorrow night.
He got jacked up.
That's yours. And then Tim Rattay, Tyoka Jackson, they had 4 sacks. Did the Rams? The Niners had 9 first downs. I mean, they held St. Louis to 16 points, but hey, how about those Rams? They're back at 500, beating the 49ers 16-6. The news in this game with Falk Gimpy, Steven Jackson, top back pick in the draft, 119 yards rushing.
And that's going to be the story going down the stretch for the Rams is Steven Jackson now is going to be the high-profile back in this offense with Marshall Falk probably playing a secondary role. And you love Chris Chandler when he's healthy, period.
Well, we'll see with Bulger X-rays negative. Speaking of rookie backs, Detroit's been waiting for their rookie running back, Kevin Jones. And here he is. Remember, the Lions off 10 days after that Thanksgiving throttling they got at home against Arizona. Kevin Jones had a huge day. Here's 2 of his yards, but more important, a touchdown. Detroit leads 14-6 over Arizona second quarter. Arizona's close to 14-12, and then Ty Streets is going to make a big block. Ty sticks him right here, Tom.
Yeah, that's a great block, and you can see what it does for this run. It gets him off to a 74-yard run. Kevin Jones, great job of bobbing and weaving. Serpentine, I think they call that when you're moving around like that, trying to get away from people.
Hey, he had 196 yards. Meanwhile, John Navarre, more on that in a moment, picked by Dre Bly. What a big year last year. He's a big part of the Lions, but Dre, no need. Put the ball, sheesh, put it down. Down to the Arizona 11, John Navarre, the 7th round pick for Arizona, the 12th overall quarterback drafted. He played at Michigan. Denny Green trying to give him a start. Obviously, he's disgruntled with all his quarterbacks. They lost 26-12. The note on Kevin Jones for Detroit, who snaps. That's why I picked him to get in the playoffs, Tom. A 5-game losing streak. I like their momentum. They snap it. Kevin Jones, 196. Detroit rookie record. You remember this name. Mel Farr. 197 back in 1967.
Another one of those number 20s, right?
Yeah. No. Mel Farr, 24.
24. Okay. There's 3 great 20s.
Lombardi, Barry Sanders. They're all in the 20s. Meanwhile, when we return, Patriots starting awfully fast and finishing fast at Cleveland. What else is new? And back in the fold for the Jets. Chad Pennington, after missing 3 games, would he be chanting S-E-T-H? We'll be back.
This week on ESPN is into its playoff drive. Amazing rookie Ben Roethlisberger leads the 10-1 Steelers into the jungle at Jacksonville to take on the desperate Jaguars. The Steelers look super as they go for win number 11. Steelers-Jaguars live tonight. Then the wild card picture in the NFC will become much clearer after the Cowboys and the Seahawks battle in a must-win game for both clubs. Steelers-Jaguars live tonight. Cowboys-Seahawks live Monday on ESPN. Friday Night Fight special event. With 44 bouts under his belt, Cootie Espada will try to teach a lesson to the 6th-ranked featherweight in the world, but Rocky Juarez is hoping to take over the classroom with his 15th knockout. Friday Night Fight special event on ESPN.
Simply the finest football on the planet. The top clubs. The elite players. in a quest for the ultimate prize of European football. The UEFA Champions League on ESPN.
Inside the Numbers. Brought to you by Visa, proud sponsor of the NFL. Get ready for the game.
Well, the New England Patriots actually lost a game a month ago, and how have they done? Well, like Philadelphia, they've come back and flattened everybody they played. Since they lost to Pittsburgh, 4 straight wins to the tune of 120-50. Would Cleveland be the 5th straight team they would flatten? Of course, the Browns had issues of their own. Butch Davis resigning, the Emperor, it didn't work there. Terry Robisky, interim head coach in the NFL, second time in his career, but how's the game begin? With Hanukkah just around the bend, Temple Bethel Johnson could go all the way. Oh, my God, it's 7-0, the Patriots right out of the gate. So we saw 2 opening kickoffs by AFC East teams, Buffalo and New England. Corey Dillon, stiff-arming guys. Dillon had 98 yards, left after the first half, had a bruised leg, 14-0 New England. William Green, stripped by Richard Seymour. Randall Gay picks it up, and watch Willie McGinnis.
This is a great play. Watch Willie actually pull Randall Gay back behind him so he can get out in front, throw a block, allow him to cut across the field, and it just does get him into the end zone.
And Gay goes all the way. And then, with the score 42-15, he's going to have 2 interceptions on the year. Yes, he is. Troy Brown and
his band of renown.
He picks off Luke McCown, the younger brother of...
There's a lot of them.
You know what? If you confuse your McCowns, Tears of McCown is in Arizona. Send in McCown in Cleveland. And it was New England all business. 42-15. Cleveland's lost 6 in a row. Oh, by the way, the Patriots, Tom, have won 26 of their last 27 games. And you couldn't even tell they lost any.
Yeah, Corey Dillon, all but 1 play in the first half of that football game. 18 carries for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Meanwhile, while the Patriots are going to 11-1, the New York Football Jets at 8-3. Well, I don't know. Here's our slider. I always forget these things. The Patriots are 5-0 since their loss to Pittsburgh. You look at the numbers on defense, which we didn't give you all. The 14 takeaways, the 15 sacks. You see the points allowed, just 13. We've told you what they scored. This just it. They're still the team to beat. But the New York Jets aren't surrendering the division quite yet. After 3 games on the punt, Chad Pennington back. His rotator cuff problems okay. Jets trailing Houston at the Meadowlands 7-6 third. Santana Moss. There's flags down, but he still goes. And Moss, with a convoy, steps out very deep at the 4-yard line. And then Tom White's crew had a tough time here, Tom. Mike Westhoff, special team coach Jets, says, wait a minute, pick up the flag. He does. Houston goes nuts.
You know, I agree with the reversal of the call because as you watch Daryl McGlover here, the light touch on Troy Evans. But once you drop that flag, how do you make the decision then to pick it up? What causes you to pick that flag up?
Well, they had a tough game, and meanwhile, Curtis Martin did not. So second play after the ensuing drive, Martin scores. He had 134 yards, 13-7 Jets. Here's Chad Pennington. Remember, he was hurt Buffalo game, and so this is why, you don't see Chad do this much. He's just elated that he's out there, not hurt, scrambling, and then Pennington, the flip to Martin. Curtis does the rest. And the Jets wore down Houston as the game went on. They really did. You saw a team that, they don't necessarily flash and dash you, but they bludgeoned Houston in the second half. Here's the numbers you want. 20 of 27, 155 for Chad Pennington, and the Jets ran for 210.
Yeah, they run the football well. They don't commit a lot of penalties. They don't commit a lot of turnovers. They're going to win a lot of close football games. This is the story of the Jets year in, year out under Herm Edwards.
And the Jets are 9-3. When we return, the other New York entry, Eli Manning, on the road at Washington. Would this be his day, or would Patrick Ramsey have the big day? And speaking of big days, Brett Favre. You saw his streak of 201 games now starting. Would another big-time streak come to an end?
The NFL on ESPN. 2 games each and every week. These guys are tough. The NFL on ESPN.
Visa Skycam gets you ready. Jacksonville trying to stay in the playoff hunt. Bottom of the hour, they're hosting the 10-1 Pittsburgh Steelers. There's Leftwich. Can he and the Jags upset 10-1 Pittsburgh? Here we go in the AFC West, the undercard, but you knew this was going to be an entertaining game. It always is. First time they've met all year. Took to December. Chiefs, Raiders. Dick Vermeil and the Chiefs trying to end a 4-game losing streak. And Larry Johnson, the running back drafted a year ago, 5 yards for the touchdown. This, by far and away, is what's only really his impressive game. Kerry Collins to Jerry Porter. Throws an arm in Dexter McLean's face. They call Porter personal foul.
Well, that was close to a punch. I think that's why the official called it. It wasn't just a hand to the face. It was almost a punch to the face.
Trent Green to Larry Johnson. Grandmama. 10-yard touchdown, 24-20 Kansas City. Fourth quarter, same score. Remember the catch he made in the snow on Sunday night here on ESPN? Ronald Curry, the former hoopster of the Tar Heels, catches a 26-yarder, 27-24. But then Johnson, first down. Later in the fourth, same drive. Larry Johnson. You knew he could do this, Tom. You know the Chiefs' line is outstanding. Settled for a field goal. It's 27-all. Then Trent Green. 2 minutes to go to Eddie Kennison. Raiders tackle, will ya? He's gone. 70 yards. So just before the 2-minute warning, Trent Green to Kennison wins it. And Kansas City, 500 yards of total offense. They beat the Raiders 34-27 despite 343 throwing for Collins. Green had 340. These teams can at least light it up. Oakland at least playing with a little more urgency.
Yeah, and yet you see the Raiders, and I always remember the way the Raiders are, running the ball 10 times total in a football game. 10 total. It's not Raider-like.
We said the Raiders playing better. You didn't think KC would fold the 10th seed to reach 4-8. Giants, Redskins. Both Eli Manning and Patrick Ramsey saying, gee, we finally get to play a team with a losing record. Each other. The Giants and the Redskins. Here we go. Philip Daniels. He is in on Manning on 3rd and 5. Sacks the rookie QB. Washington ran the ball. Outstanding today. Clinton Portis. Here's 13 yards juking and jiving on 2nd and 3. Then Portis a touchdown. 7-0 Redskins late first. Giants, Tiki Barber stuffed by Cornelius Griffin. Giants ran for only 38 yards today. Washington plays defense, Tom. Here you're seeing it again.
Yeah, and until Eli Manning is a real threat, you're going to see people stack the line of scrimmage against Tiki Barber.
Now here's Portis breaking through for 19 yards. He has over 1,000 for the season. Later in the drive, the shovel pass works in the NFC. Patrick Ramsey to Portis, 14-0 Skins. Jeff Fiegel's punting. Blocked by Walt Harris, not the Pitt coach, but the Redskin. And it's Washington ball to the chagrin of Tom Coughlin. So last minute of the half, Ramsey to Robert Royal, king for a day. Touchdown, 21-0 Skins, the first time they've scored over 20 all year long. Third quarter, 24-0. Derek Ward provides Giants fans with a smile. Whoop! Makes a move. He could go all the way. 92 yards, 24-7. But enough with the comeback, says Washington. In the fourth on 3rd and 2, Ramsey, Chris Cooley, touchdown. And the Redskins, who ran for 211 today, time of the Giants 38. The Redskins, who had the ball for 40 minutes, clobber the Giants 31-7.
Yeah, and I think if you're the coach of either one of these football teams, either Joe Gibbs or Tom Coughlin, you are now starting to assess the character of your football team.
Meanwhile, it seems ridiculous. Peyton Manning hadn't thrown a touchdown pass for a week and a half. Of course, he didn't play for a week and a half either. He goes into the game against Tennessee, which was one of his bugaboos. Remember, he starred at Tennessee. He could never beat the Titans and Steve McNair. Well, he beat him 3 in a row now. Going into this game, it's our prime cut. Yeah. The big horseshoe as Peyton Manning and Steve McNair, while they wouldn't face off, the two co-MVPs. Manning, 41 TD passes, 7 behind Marino McNair. Tom, you talked to him this week. So I talked to McNabb. It's a huge game. So you talked to Steve. He's an actor.
And he didn't play.
Right. But Billy Volek did, and 48 yards to Drew Bennett. It's 7-3 Titans. I just want you to make note.
I know.
You know, Tennessee pulling out every trick in the bag. Craig Hendrick onside kick. Scott McGarrahan gets it. So Jeff Fisher says, look, we got to do something to upset this team, and they do. That leads to Gary Anderson, 45-yard field goal, 10-3 Tennessee. Next kickoff. Well, I mean, all right, you already showed onside kick, so you... Whoa, another one! They had it, Tom. Went out of bounds, so they kick again, and this time they kick it away. Next Colts drive. Colts do it this way. Play action. Peyton. How sweet is this catch by Marvin Harrison?
Well, you just take another look at this. Marvin Harrison, and he makes it look so easy and effortless. It's back of the end zone. The great grab, always catches the ball with his hands, and then the outstanding footwork to tap him in for the score.
So the game tied at 10. Tennessee goes back to work. You know, the Colts don't exactly bring the 85 Bears defense, you know. Volek, 28 yards to Drew Bennett, and it's 17-10 Titans. It's still the first. No, they're not. No, another onside kick. It's still the first quarter. And Jeff Fisher acts referee here. Wait, it's ours. That way. And so the Titans drive. Volek, though, picked off by Jason David. So the Colts defense contributing, and then it's time for the edge. Minute and a half left to go in the first quarter. 17 all, 5-yard touchdown, Edgerrin James. Still the first quarter, Tom. 7 seconds left. And here's Volek to Drew Bennett. Watch this grab. Nice! 24-17, the second highest first quarter in the history of the NFL. A 67 game between Green Bay and Cleveland, the only one higher. Peyton Manning says enough of all this. 28 yards to Brandon Stokely, 24 all, 2 TDs for Manning, 43 on the year.
Yeah, we're going to show you a little bit about cohesion between quarterback and wide receiver. Marvin Harrison, first of all, bending his route. He's going to run inside of the corner. This is a 7 route. This is the flag route we talk about. Freezes the safety. You'll see him as he comes into the pattern late. Bend it right back to the cone at the back of the end zone. Perfect throw by Manning. Brandon Stokely, on the other hand, the safety now slightly outside. He's going to run to the outside shoulder of the corner, third corner, then bend it back inside. Perfect timing. Peyton Manning throwing the ball away from the safety. You know, it's a matter of inches between completion, incompletion, actually a chance for an interception by the DB. You don't get it because nobody does it quite as good as the Colts.
Meanwhile, Gary Anderson field goal blocked this time, and it's now Colts special teams. Rob Morris rumbling 68 yards. And so the Colts special teams get him the lead 31-24. After field goal, Michigan 34-24, play action. Peyton steps up, hits Stoke. God, it's as if he didn't put his hands up. The ball would hit him between the elbows, running anyway. And then the inside give to Edgerrin James. The edge, 17 yards. U2 of the new album, Edge, running well. Then James, 12-yard run. Edgerrin James, $105 today on the ground. Score 41-24. Titans 3rd and 9, down 17. Can they get back in it? To Bennett. Ooh, they had him. Incomplete. So 4th down. They're going to punt it. Oh, why not? It's Craig Hendrick throwing to center. Ken Amato going to the center. Center eligible. But Gilbert Gardner breaks it up. And then you know what happens. No surprise. Lamont Thompson picks off Peyton, his second of the game. But enough already. Manning, Reggie Wayne, touchdown. 3 for Peyton Manning, 44 on the season, 4 behind Dan Marino. Marino also had 44 for the second best ever in NFL history. 51-24 the Colts. It's the 5th straight game won by the Colts, and they tie the NFL record for most consecutive 40-point games with 4. 2000 Rams did it. 1960 Los Angeles Chargers did it. And now every time you read a Colts game, there's another record.
Well, we talk about seeing things with our eyes as you take a look at the numbers between Marino and Manning and the passing yards, the touchdown passes, where they were at this point in the season. But you had the feeling they didn't even play very well, but scored 51.
And it, again, every game you read something here, okay, to start the season, 12 straight games of multiple touchdowns thrown. Peyton Manning joins Johnny Unitas, record set 45 years ago. So the big question is for the Colts, look, is this offense, the way they play, is it good enough to overcome not even at the time mediocre D?
I think it is because of the mindset of the coaching staff. I think that when you talk to them and you ask them, are you planning your offense around your defense? Are you thinking in terms of what it's going to take in terms of winning football games or what they're going to give you defensively? And I do think that they are getting better as the season goes on. I think they're getting a little bit better. But they go out with the idea we're going to score 40, 45 plus every single week.
They do it.
And let's see if the other team can do that. And it is fun to watch.
You know what's humorous? 5 years ago, one of our favorite people, Tony Dungy, almost became the first coach to lead his team to the Super Bowl by winning a championship game 6-5.
That's right.
5 years later, he may become the first team to lead his team to the Super Bowl, winning 60-50. 5 years. Look what's changed. When we return, speaking of changes, is there a change in the AFC West? San Diego looking to go 2-up on Denver in a game played in the rain in Southern California. Drew Brees against the Snake, and then a showdown between McNabb and Favre turned out to be anything but.
Welcome back to NFL Primetime, presented by Miller Lite.
David game of the Vikings and the Pack tied at 7-4 atop the NFC North Division, but the Vikings have not won an outside game in December since '99. They're in Chicago. 2 months ago, Chad Hutchinson surfing in California. This looked like surfing to you, Tom. What? He's hanging 10. Hit by Chris Claiborne, but he gets up. Hey. So the 20th Bears quarterback to start since 1990, which is the most in football, now all of a sudden has them screaming at Soldier Field. Touchdown, Desmond Clark. Could the Bears upset the Vikings? 7-0. Now it's 10-7 Bears. Dante Culpepper picked off by, he's back, Brian Urlacher. Back in the nick of time for Chicago.
And understand, folks, what a great play this is by Brian Urlacher. He has great range. He's going to follow the quarterback's eyes here. He's very close to the line of scrimmage. In close quarters, what a difficult catch. And watch how he catches it completely with his hands. Has to get around behind him to get that football. That makes him the great athlete. That makes him the great linebacker.
Yeah, but then here come the Vikings. Bada it. Dante Culpepper, Marcus Cuckoo, Mr. Robinson. He slips and falls. Used to play for the Bears, but now he gives the Vikes a 14-10 lead. But here comes Chad Hutchinson, David Terrell. And the Bears lead 17-14. A Bears quarterback actually throwing it to a receiver. And Culpepper avoids the run. Jerry Azuma, who had a big game, has him. How does he get this off to Mo Williams? The Vikings wouldn't score on the drive because they miss a field goal. And then with the score 17-14 Bears in the fourth, Hutchinson to Jason McKee. 24-14 Chicago. 3 touchdown passes, Hutchinson, and 3 picks of Culpepper at only 7 going in. Jerry Halls of Montezuma right there had the other 2. Urlacher had the 1. The Bears win 24-14. The Bears are 5-7, Tom. Don't tell anyone. They're also in the hunt.
And in the hunt.
And Minnesota falls to 7-5, and they're winning outdoors in December. They just find trouble doing it in the cold weather games. Meanwhile, the Philadelphia Eagles are having no trouble winning games, and neither are the Green Bay Packers. Indoors, outdoors, you name it. The 10-1 Eagles and Donovan McNabb hosting Brett Favre and the Packers, who hadn't lost in Columbus Day. Was this going to be a showdown, or would McNabb make the showdown with Favre a shambles? Here we go. And Donovan McNabb and Brett Favre. Last year, the 4th and 26 completion by McNabb in the waning minutes helped the Eagles tie it, then they won in overtime. How would this go? Well, Brian Dawkins, remember he had the big pick in overtime of that playoff game? He made a pick right here. Deja vu all over again. McNabb. Terrell Owens makes the move, and T.O. Touchdown number 14. Andy Reid's going to wear the tights at 15.
You know, and when they're talking on the sideline, you know that they're talking about the tights. You know that T.O.'s telling them you're close.
But meanwhile, a game to play. Sheldon Brown with the pick of Favre. And Brown, the possession. Eagles get the ball anyway. It was their day all the way around. 2nd and 1. Somebody said this morning that Brian Westbrook would be a very busy young man.
It was just a guess.
It was a guess. 18-yard game on the throw from McNabb up to the 14. McNabb started 14 for 14. Here's another one. Swing to Westbrook. The little guy from Villanova does the rest. Remember, he didn't play in either game last year against Green Bay. 14-0 Philadelphia. Now on 3rd and 1. McNabb, Westbrook, finding ways to get him out of the backfield. He's so dangerous. He's such a special player when healthy. 21-0 Philadelphia.
Yeah, and that's called flatten up, but he ran it against the corner, and he still got that wide open.
McNabb with mustard on that throw despite the rush to L.J. Smith. 28-0 looked like. And then McNabb to Westbrook, 12 yards, 35-3 at the half. 5 touchdown passes first half. Donovan McNabb. Then McNabb, 3rd. T.O. gets between defenders, makes another move, sets up a field goal by David Akers from
Louisville.
And then McNabb, Westbrook. Watch this. Ooh, it's just so pretty when it works like this. Westbrook, a 50-yard gain. Eagles kicking field goals in the second half. The Eagles, boy, it's supposed showdown, forget it. 47-17. More on this in a moment in a game that Brett Favre did not throw a touchdown pass. But McNabb, who 4 times this year threw 4, had never thrown 5 in his career. He did it today, and his 464 yards passing break the old franchise mark of 447 held by Randall Cunningham. Tom, see, I go talk to somebody, and he puts in a game like that. And if the playoff picture, we talked about it before, the Eagles, these are your division leaders here. I understand we got a month to go. These are in the hunt. See, the 5 tied at 5 and 7 are actually the funny ones that we should put up there. Let's talk Philadelphia for a minute. Look, this was a statement game, and we talked about it at the show on Countdown, because Philly attended. They've been very good before like this, but they showed themselves and Green Bay and everybody in the conference, hey, we're really this good.
Well,
we're really this good.
Two close games last year against Green Bay. They wanted to come back this year. I think it was a statement game for them. If we do meet you again, we want you to remember what happened. We're going to meet you in Philly if, in fact, we do meet you. And I think one of the things as you look at this conference, and almost discouraging, we talked a little bit about it earlier, but, you know, you think, well, can Green Bay challenge? Can Atlanta challenge? You know, when they get beat in a way that makes you understand clearly that they are cut below whatever the Philadelphia Eagles are. And, you know, I'm looking forward to watching the Eagles play this out.
Well,
I'm just looking forward to them play this out. They're having fun doing it.
They're having a great time. Meanwhile, speaking of a team having a great time, the San Diego Chargers with a 1-game lead out west over the Denver Broncos. The Broncos beat them a long time ago in Denver. Raining in San Diego, which is unusual, and the ball squirting all over the place. Ball bobbled. Drayton Florence with the pick very early for San Diego. Drew Brees pens this to Eric Parker. That's very nice. 30 yards. Same drive. LaDainian Tomlinson. Man, the little guy can run tough as well. 5-yard touchdown. 7-0 San Diego. Jake Plummer. Ball bounded away by Randall Godfrey. Intercepted by Steve Foley. 2 veterans who have been such big players for the Charger defense. Later in the first.